Hey, welcome to Territory Tribes at War. This is Evan Morris, lead creator of the game. We wanted to walk you through what a typical game of Territory may look like. The sample game is between the Pack and Dasus tribes, with Nate piloting the Pack on the right and myself, the Dasus, on the left. Before going into gameplay, I want to talk about core linear mechanics for resources in this game. The first is food supply. Every turn, territories in play produce a constant food supply which permits what champions may occupy that territory. Champions have a corresponding food requirement icon which designates how much food supply they consume. Each turn a territory is in play, it will produce more food supply, signified by this icon from left to right, with a territory producing its maximum food supply at a constant rate after being in play 3 or more turns. The aggregate food supply of champions occupying a territory may never exceed that territory's food supply. The first turn this territory is in play, it would produce 2 food supply. The second turn, it would produce 4 food supply. And lastly, from turns 3 onwards, it would produce 6 food supply. The second linear resource I want to talk about is spell power. Every turn during the beginning phase, except for the first player's first turn, that player gains 2 spell power. Player may only have a maximum of 6 spell power, so spend your spell power wisely and when possible. We each start out by choosing a territory from our territory deck and play it face down in the center territory zone.
I chose the Pristine since it allows for the most food supply for a pack territory.
I chose Thorny Bramblewood since it allows my Dasus champions to kick back damage via thorns. Then we each draw 10 cards. If either of us don't like the cards in our hands, we may put those on the bottom of our main deck, then draw that many cards. This would be a mulligan.
Neither of us will mulligan.
Then we roll a die to see who goes first.
I won the die roll, so I will go first. I use the turn counter to help keep track of the turn. To start my turn, I do not have anything to do during my beginning phase since I am playing first, so I do not draw a card and I do not gain 2 spell power. These are 2 champions that require 1 food and synergize with each other. By deploying both together, I can get off to an early aggressive start. My champions are fatigued and cannot attack, so I have nothing to do during my combat phase and nothing during my second action phase, so I will end my turn. At the end of my turn, I move up my champions to signify that they are no longer fatigued.
Since I play second, I gain 2 spell power and then draw a card. I will play this hidden spell under my territory. During my first action phase, I will play 2 Dasus tree folks similar to Nate, and I will pass through my combat and second action phase, ending my turn. Reset champions at the end of the turn to show they are no longer fatigued.
I will move up the Pristine. I will gain 2 spell power, then draw a card. I will play this 2 food requirement champion on my territory because now it produces 4 total food supply. This turn I will have eligible champions that can attack because they are no longer fatigued. Both my goblin warriors will attack the territory across. Each attack is for 5 damage because of their coalesce ability.
I will take the first attack on the territory for 3 damage because it has 2 armor. The second attack I will defend with an armorless tree folk, which will destroy it. Because of my territory's ability, my champion has thorns, which allows it to kick back damage to the attacking goblin warrior.
I gain a point for destroying the tree folk. I reset my champions after combat and remove them from the attack line.
At the beginning of my turn, I will gain 2 spell power, move up my territory, then draw a card. During my first action phase, I will play Rootmonger, a 2 food requirement champion, on my Bramblewood. And I will deploy 2 relics. You may play a relic on each relic zone in either action phase. My tree folk will attack across for 3, drawing me a card from its ability. Since I draw a card from an ability, I can activate my pendant, putting a relic counter on it. Relic counters keep track of counters gained by certain relics in this game.
I choose to defend with my Pack Zealot. Pack champions don't have armor, so when I defend, they usually take the full amount of damage.
I will move to my second action phase. I will cast this pure spell, Wonderlust, paying 1 spell power, drawing me 4 cards, and then I have to discard 2 cards. Casting the spell will activate the spellcast ability on my Deepwood Charm, allowing me to draw a card. Then I put a counter on my pendant. After finished casting Wonderlust and discarding 2 cards, I will put a counter on my pendant for each card drawn, for 4 additional counters. I will remove 4 counters from Triton's pendant to deal 2 damage to the undamaged Goblin Warrior. I will cast Fatal Blast, spending 2 spell power, and target the Pristine. This will deal 3 damage to all Nate's champions occupying it. Then I will gain 2 points for destroying both Goblin Warriors. I will end my turn.
At the beginning of my 3rd turn, I will move up the Pristine to the top territory line. It now produces its maximum food supply. And then I gain 2 spell power. Since it is my 3rd turn, my first territory is at its maximum food supply, and I play another territory on my left territory zone. Khal's Outpost gives swiftness to the champions that occupy it. Then I will draw a card. During my first action phase, I will play Swiftfoot Knoll on the Pristine, and I will play a Pack Preserver on my newly played Khal's Outpost. I will play this relic between these 2 territories. I will use Pack Zealot's discard ability to give it +2 attack power. I will cast Entangle using 2 spell power targeting the Rootmonger, ensuring that the Rootmonger cannot defend this turn. I will then use another 2 spell power to cast Might of the Forest, providing a strong attack bonus to all my champions on the Pristine. I will move into my combat phase. Since my Pack Preserver gains swiftness from my territory's combat phase ability, I will attack the only thing I am able to attack, which is the relic. I will attack with Swiftfoot Knoll across for 7 with Cleave 2.
I will activate my Percussion Trap, paying 1 spell power since an attack was for at least 7 damage. The Tree Folk will defend, be destroyed, and the remaining 2 damage will go on the territory. In return, the Knoll will take 7 damage, 2 from the Thorns, and 5 from the Percussion Trap.
The Zealot will attack across for 8 with Cleave 2.
Since the Rootmonger cannot defend and the Bramblewood has 5 damage on it, the Bramblewood will be destroyed. In return, the Zealot will be destroyed from the Percussion Trap's damage.
I gain 6 points and Evan gains 1 point.
In Nate's second action phase, I will replace the Thorny Bramblewood with a Dasus Steepwood at the same territory line. During the beginning of my turn, I move up my Dasus Deepwood, search my territory deck for a new territory, and play Blackbriar Canopy. And I have to play it across from Khal's Outpost since I play second. Then, I draw a card and gain 2 spell power. During my action phase, I will play Dasus Wisp and Dasus Ranger under Blackbriar Canopy. These are each 1 food requirement champions. And a Bramblethorn Stalker and Spell Leader under Dasus Deepwood. These are each 3 food requirement champions. I will remove 2 relic counters from the pendant to do 1 damage to the Pack Preserver. I will move to the end of my turn since I have no eligible champions that can attack during the combat phase.
I will move up my Kyle's Outpost, draw a card, and then gain 2 spell power. During my first action phase, I cast Explore the Realm with 1 spell power. This pure spell draws me 3 cards. I will move my Pack Preserver to the Pristine and it will gain the benefit of Kyle's Mace for +3 attack power. Lots of relics have abilities when you move past them and trigger the Visit ability. I will play Pack Zealot on Kyle's Outpost. I will then discard a card to give Pack Zealot +2 attack power. Remember, my Pack Zealot can attack this turn because Kyle's Outpost will give it swiftness. I will cast Call to Arms, discarding a card. All my champions get +1 attack power until the end of my turn. I will start my combat phase by attacking Deepwood Charm for 9 with Cleave 1, destroying it and gaining 2 points. I had the option to attack the relic or the territory. Although the relic only yields 2 points if destroyed, it also cannot be defended and it will prevent the extra card draw for Evan. Using the same logic, Swiftfoot Knoll will attack Triton's Pendant, destroying it for 2 points. Pack Zealot attacks the territory for 7 damage.
I will have the Wisp defend, gaining me 1 spell power while being destroyed because of its ability. The remaining 4 damage will go on the Canopy, which has 2 armor for 2 total damage.
During my second action phase, I will sacrifice Swiftfoot Knoll, yielding 2 points to Evan, and I will replace it with another Swiftfoot Knoll. I don't want a champion about to die to take up space, so I will replace it with a healthier one.
At the beginning of my turn, I will move in my territory, gain 2 spell power, then draw a card. During my first action phase, I will cast another copy of Wanderlust, paying 1 spell power and drawing me 4 cards while I have to discard 2. To free up space in my territory, I will sacrifice my Dasus Ranger. Then, with this free space, this will allow me to move my Stalker over to Blackbriar Canopy. I will play another Spell Eater under Dasus Deepwood. I will cast Wrath, destroying Pack Preserver. I then cast Fulgur Impetus on my newly deployed Fatigued Spell Eater. This gives it swiftness and allowing it to attack right away. My Spell Eater, the one that did not get the privilege of Fulgur Impetus, will attack Call's Mace for 11 damage. Because I have 9 pure spells in my discard pile, it will destroy the mace. The Spell Eater imbued by Fulgur Impetus attacks the center territory for 11 as well.
I will defend with Swiftfoot Knoll, which will destroy it.
The Stalker will attack across for 5.
I will take the damage on the outpost. I will move up Kyle's Outpost to its food supply maximum. I will gain 2 spell power, then I will search my territory deck and I will play Goblin Shrine in my final territory zone. I will then draw a card. During my first action phase, I cast Payday. This pure spell will draw me 5 cards. I play Savage Dragon on the Pristine and Goblin Masochist on Cal's Outpost. I will discard a card to Pack Zealot to give it +2 attack power. The Savage Dragon attacks across for 9.
I will not defend the attack, and I will have 8 damage go on the Dasus Deepwood.
Then both the Goblin Masochist and Zealot attack across for 6 and 4, respectively.
The Stalker will defend, taking 6 damage, but it will kick back 3 damage because of its Thorns ability. I will have the Masochist 4 damage go on the Canopy for a total of 2 damage because of its 2 armor.
In my second action phase, I will play Savage War Dog on the Goblin Shrine. I will then reset my champions from combat.
I will move up my Blackbar Canopy to its maximum food supply. I will gain 2 spell power. Since it's my 5th turn, both my territories are at their maximum food supply. I will play Sacred Grove in my last territory zone. Then draw a card. During my first action phase, I will move the Spell Leader and Stalker to swap places. I will cast the Pure Spell Heroic Leap twice on this Spell Leader, giving it a whopping +6 attack power, but also further growing it by putting 2 more Pure Spells in my discard pile. I will have that Spell Leader attack across for 19. Regardless of how Nate defends with both his champions, this is enough damage to destroy everything. 5 damage to the Zealot, 4 to the Masochist, and the remaining 10 to the Outpost, which already has 3 damage on it. This attack will gain me 6 points, putting me at 16 points, ending the game.
We hope this video prepares you for your future bouts of territory. To learn more, go to territorycardgame.com.